I've heard people talk about conceptual thought, and they wondered, could that have evolved? Move that down a little bit. There it is. Goes under the topical heading of man is unique and could not have evolved from something less. Conceptual thought, not evolutionary possibility, is one of the topics of this, but designed by supremely superior mentality. A.E. Wilder Smith states, right and left-handed forms of certain molecules, dextro and levooptical isomers, whatever they are, possess an identical state of order, and so cannot possibly be separated by any unaided chemical means. Sounds like a problem. Left-handed amino acids and right-handed sugars are both necessary for living systems, but ordinary chemical reactions cannot supply them. Only the information in molecules that can recognize patterns can sort out the left from the right forms. For the synthesis of optically purt-handed forms, information leading to pattern recognition must be available, and is found on the DNA molecule or its products. The DNA molecule stores its information in 3 dimensions rather than in just 2. It only recently has been shown that if the information on the DNA molecule were stored in just 2-dimensional linear sequences, such as would be necessary if the mixture of forms were used in biology, the molecule would have to be thousands of miles long to accommodate all the information which life needs. However, with the addition of the 3rd dimension to the chemistry of life, information can be stored within tiny cells in 3-dimensional rather than in 2. Since virtually all forms of life show specific orientation, either left or right, and all forms of life have their equivalent of the DNA molecule as a reservoir of information, conceptual information must have played its role in origins so as to supply the 3rd dimension required for the super miniaturization of information storage and retrieval, in addition to standard organic chemistry, time, and energy. Life's origin must then have occurred under the influence of conceptual information somewhere down the line, thus enabling the separation of right from left-handed molecules of identical state of order. If this conceptual information could not arise directly from the material properties of matter, then surely it is a perfectly justified scientific question to ask just where this conceptual information might have originated. Mere surprise effects without necessity of conceptual content would be useless as a source of the purposeful language, conventions, and meaning of the DNA molecule, which are vital for the construction of concept-laden organs such as kidneys or livers, not to mention 4-chambered hearts. It must be kept firmly in mind that inorganic matter contains none of the code and language concepts on the basis of which the DNA molecule functions. Inorganic matter certainly contains no purposeful concepts such as those necessary for, say, the synthesis of countercurrent flow systems in kidneys, or 3-dimensional structures such as allow the hemoglobin molecule to supply the body with oxygen. This then leaves us with one last vital question on the origin of life. How does one produce the purposeful type of information required to construct any machine biological, or mechanical? We know of only one answer to this question to date. That answer says that the conceptual type of information necessary for the production of the handedness of life arises to date exclusively in organs which function according to the principles extant in the brain of higher biological organisms and which generate conceptual thought, which is unobtainable through inorganic matter. Life as we know it could not have started as a mixture of forms, which then by natural selection performed the separation of forms. There must have been in the beginning, at the act of creation, an organ of the kind that makes the human brain tick, infinitely more powerful, of course, to generate the concepts of biology on a much larger scale than the human brain can ever develop. Now, that it is known that the DNA molecule stores its information not linearly, but in 3 dimensions. We understand that life could not, on theoretical grounds, ever have originated from inorganic matter alone. Equal amounts of different forms of DNA could never have functioned as an information storage and retrieval system. Therefore, matter alone, with only chemistry to aid it, could never have produced any form of life as we know it. Here's another thought. Microbiology is irreducibly complex. We can go here. And demands an intelligent creator. Every door science opens reveals 10 as yet unopened doors. While knowledge of the universe is expanding exponentially, the unknown expands even faster, like receding images in a hall of mirrors. Scientific discoveries overwhelmingly necessitate a power and wisdom without beginning or end and infinitely beyond human comprehension, which alone could have brought all into existence. Even such a determined proponent of evolution as Richard Dawkins confesses that living things give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. He even admits that the nucleus of every cell, the smallest living unit, of which there are trillions in the human body, it contains the digitally coded database larger in information content than all 30 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica put together. Just the mathematical odds of getting millions of letters lined up in the right order by chance is off the possibility chart. And that's the encyclopedia. For life, something even more amazing is involved than chance aligning billions of chemical molecules in the right order. Dawkins refers to a digitally coded database. This is recent terminology never imagined by Darwin. Not only must the DNA molecules be put together correctly, but they must, like letters, express information in a language providing instructions to be followed. Mother to daughter, to daughter to daughter, to son, one parent to the children over and over again. Each person at the moment of conception begins as a single cell. How does that cell know what to do to construct a body composed of trillions of individual cells of different kinds and different functions? Most school children know the answer. Imprinted in that original cell are instructions for the construction and operation of the human body, instructions which will be followed unerringly. DNA replicates this blueprint onto every cell produced, and every cell amazingly will know which part of those directions it is to follow. Today's school child also knows that DNA has an incredible capacity for storing information. The information contained in DNA, the size of a pinhead, would fill a stack of books 500 times as high as the distance from the Earth to the Moon. It would take tens of thousands of desktop computers to store and process that amount of data. The world's fastest supercomputer is now being completed. It is called Big Gene. Well, we've got ones that are even faster today, and will perform 1 quadrillion, one with 15 zeros after it, calculations per second. It is being built to map the 3 billion chemical letters in the human genome, equal to a 100,000-page run-on sentence of operating instructions for a human being, all put together by chance? Blue genes. First task will be to figure out how the body makes just one protein molecule. To solve that problem, it will run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a full year. Yet the body, following the instructions printed in DNA, creates a protein molecule in a fraction of a second. Were the instructions which this computer will take a year to understand arrived at by random processes? All this for just one protein molecule? The probability of the required order in a single basic protein molecule arising purely from chance is estimated at 1 chance in 1, followed by 43 zeros. Since thousands of complex protein molecules are required to build a simple cell, probability moves outside the realm of possibility. 3. It takes many different kinds of enzymes, made of protein, to decode, translate the genetic information encoded into DNA. And the enzymes are independently encoded to do this. So it would do no good for evolution, even if it could, to imprint genetic information on DNA. At the same time, it would have to independently encode the enzymes to translate it. DNA and the enzymes to decode it could not evolve over a period of time. All must be in perfect working order from the start. At the molecular level, evolution is a bad joke. Years ago, the conundrum was, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Now it's, which came first, protein or DNA? It takes protein to construct DNA, but it takes DNA to make protein. Obviously, both were created at once. Neither could have evolved. But the lesson of DNA points far beyond the statistical impossibility of it all somehow falling together through random processes over great time. The 3 billion chemical letters express information in a language which must be read to be usable. A language necessarily involves ideas framed within grammatical rules and can be created and expressed only by intelligence. This moves us beyond statistics and matter into another realm involving issues, and issues cannot be comprehended by tissues. Language expresses thoughts, and thoughts are not physical. They may be articulated in physical form, such as sounds or words and sentences on a page, or the coded chemical letters in DNA. Obviously, however, the thoughts being conveyed by the language are independent of the material upon which they are expressed. The sentence may be written on paper, wood, sand, a computer chip, or audio tape, but none of these originated the message. It must have an intelligent, non-physical source independent of the physical means of storage or communication. The fact that life is created and functions by language originated from an intelligent, non-physical source forever finishes the evolution. There is no way that chemicals could put together intelligent thoughts in a language that contains the instructions for constructing and operating even a single cell, much less the trillions of cells in the human body. We are driven by science and logic to admit that life in any form can have its only source in a God who is independent of the material universe. That there cannot be more than one source is proved by the uniformity and universality of the language. DNA, of course, does not understand the language information encoded into it. It is a mechanism built and programmed by the originator of the encoded language to follow his instructions automatically. And the most complex mechanism built by DNA is the human brain, more advanced than any computer yet built by man. It contains some 100 billion nerve cells connected by 240 miles of nerve fibers involving 100 trillion connections. For all of its complexity, the brain no more originates or understands